Hi there, Malcolm here with my 171st BookTube video, and today I'm going to bring you my thoughts on Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, and my reasons why I hated it. Don't forget to mention that this is not an attack on anyone who does like Frankenstein. You're allowed to like it. I'm just glad you got enjoyment out of it. You finished? Yeah, that. Now I'll be reading from notes, so hopefully this will be a little bit more coherent than my normal videos, with less editing. So here goes. I don't normally break down a story as much as I have for this review, but man, I really hated this one, and kept finding excuses to do anything other than continue with it. And I'm happy to do this YouTube video because I need to expunge it from my system. First off, definite props to the 19-year-old Mary Shelley for getting out in the first place. Yeah, an achievement that shouldn't be understated. But in my opinion, for something that was supposed to be the definitive classic gothic horror, this was the most exasperatingly whingy story that I've ever come across. How this brokered a genre rather than kill it dead is frankly beyond me. This review will contain spoilers, but you know, as the story is over 100 years old, it's probably already known. But I will be breaking down into the minutiae of various goings on throughout the tale. Now, I do get that the idea is mooted here about nature versus nurture and the monsters inside us, but it's been done many times. It's a very old idea, and frankly, I think everyone else did it better. Now, the main character, Victor Frankenstein, is the most self-centered and stupidest main character of a story I've ever read, and I've read some pretty stupid characters. If this was a drinking game where you'd have to take a swig every time the words miserable, wretched and guilty were used, with a double swig, if allusions to being the most ever of these things on the planet, most readers would have died of cirrhosis of the liver by the halfway point. He has absolutely no character arc to speak of and learns nothing from any of his experiences. Now, Frankenstein is supposed to be the clever delver into natural philosophy who, after years of study, spends 3 solid years creating his reanimated being. Yeah, it's not something he just does overnight. Having spent his entire childhood reading up on it and learning about the details and going down these weird pseudoscience paths, to then go all cuckoo the moment he succeeds. You know, over the period of 3 years, and I can't stress that, 3 solid years doing this, he actually gets malnourished and has very few friends due to his isolation doing this. Yeah, he deliberately makes a man of gargantuan proportions and of a horrific visage. And so when he successfully animates this Hulk, he completely freaks out when the eyes were a little bit yellow, due to having been dead for a bit, Not once in these 3 years did he stop and think, maybe I could make him a bit smaller, or maybe practice with a gerbil first. That would have kind of made sense. Something he could have kept in a cage and easily dispatched at the first sign of monsterism, beyond having slightly yellow eyes. No, he makes the biggest, scariest looking man he can, and then just leaves it blinking in confusion and abandonment while its creator goes off to have a major breakdown for 6 months, as you do. Now, Frankenstein has the association of an atmospheric gothic horror, but it doesn't. That's the films and the TV shows and any pop culture references to the monster, or castles, lightning, hunchbacked Igor, all that sort of stuff. Now, in the book, the Plonko basically creates his monster on his own in his university bedsit, where apparently it's quite normal to keep bits of human corpses lying about and no one noticing the smell. Yeah. And what I didn't know about the story is we actually do get an account from the monster's point of view. My experience of Frankenstein, by the way, is Young Frankenstein, which I do enjoy a lot, and the various other, again, like I said, pop culture references, where it's very much a monster. It doesn't speak, it growls and smashes through doors, that sort of thing. But now we get an account for the monster, which I thought, oh great, this is going to be fantastic. Okay, it's after his first murder, so we're already a little bit biased against him for some reason. No, we learn that Frankenstein is now only a contender for the most whiny person on the planet. And furthermore, the creature's clearly decided to become an incel. He can't have a woman, so he's going to kill some folk until Frankenstein makes him one. Yeah, that's classic incel, really, isn't it? Now, confronted with his little brother's murder and the wrongful execution of the nanny looking after him, a normal person might have gone to the authorities and say that, there's a bad man who's got a vendetta against my family. Highest and private security. Just alert people that they might be in danger from a dangerous individual. But no, he just is too busy feeling sorry for himself as the most wretched person on the planet. Swig. So, does he make this bride for Frankenstein? Well, after some pointless procrastinations and aimless wandering about the place, he finally decides to do it. And he goes to a remote island in the Scottish Isles, as you do, and then, what he's doing, he then fears that the new happy couple might threaten mankind itself if they procreate. Which I suppose is a valid worry. But, you know, he's got bits of corpse. He is literally stitching together a female body ready to marry this thing. Now, surely at some point during this exercise, he could just accidentally whip out a couple of ovaries, you know, kind of ensure that the future of mankind isn't under threat. I know, frankly, it's quite extraordinary. He made this man complete with his entirety. But never mind, like I said, this guy is a complete idiot. But no, he doesn't do that. While the creature is watching through a window, again, you know, curtains, you know, he doesn't exactly want to show the creature how it's done necessarily in the same way they didn't want them to procreate, but never mind, he's letting the thing watch through the window. He tears the corpse apart. Now, understandably, the creature is a little bit upset by this, and Mr. Incel decides to say, right, yeah, I'm going to kill everyone you know, I'm going to be there on your wedding night, sort of thing. Yeah, a pretty significant threat, and goes. And Frankenstein pretty much goes, well, that's that then, and decides to leave the island. But no, hang on, wait a minute. I've left my tools in the workshop. Let's go and get my stuff. Yeah, okay, very sensible. While he's collecting his tools, it suddenly occurs to him then that, well, maybe I shouldn't just leave the bits of corpse strewn around the room here. It might be quite a clever idea to actually hide it. Remove the evidence. I mean, it's the only bright idea he's got so far. I need to say more misery and death follow as Mr. Incel goes through with his threat. And of course, the threat of being there on his wedding night means, of course, Frankenstein is going to hurry up and get married to his cousin. Because he's one of those, obviously. And so it's the wedding, which is literally like 2 lines of the story. Pages and pages of woe is me, and I'm so wretched, and I'm trolling through some random backwater village doing nothing in particular. But no, the actual, arguably, most important day of his life, 2 meagre lines, just as a sort of almost a footnote. We got married. Now again, he's got a definite target now. He's like, wedding night, it's the wedding night. Maybe bump up security, maybe tell somebody that this big bad thing is going to turn up and kill somebody. And, you know, who does Frankenstein think it's going to kill? Well, himself, obviously, because so far the pattern is his brother, the nanny, his friend. Yeah, so clearly his idiotic self is next on the list, following that logical pattern, not anybody else close to him. Yeah, perhaps who might be around on his wedding night. At all. No warnings, no security, nothing. And of course, yes, she gets murdered. Surprise, surprise. Well, he was surprised anyway, because he's a dingus. And of course, that's too much for old Daddy, who dies as well. And so, at this point, Frankenstein decides, I know, I'm going to go and tell the authorities. Rolls up to the authorities. I made this man. Really? You're going to open with that? And so Frankenstein takes it upon himself to chase this beastie north and more north for ages and ages and ages. It's a very long and tedious chase, as the creature is clearly leading him on, even resorts to leaving little clues to help him not get lost, suggesting that at any time Frankenstein could break it off and disappear and have a life free of this damn creature who would have no idea where he's gone. But no, this endless chase up to the Arctic, where he has to be rescued by a passing boat, to which he retells his tale to the captain. There is a sort of prologue which is completely pointless, following the captain as he was writing letters to his sister, I believe, about finding this idiot, and then promptly dies due to hypothermia and being a complete dingus. And of course, no sooner is he dead that the Mr. Incel bursts into the room, sees the corpse of his creator, and gets all weepy, and how it's now the most wretched being on all the earth. That's kind of made sure that the other one was dead. Maybe it just wanted the top prize of being the whingy one. I don't know. But it's a case of no victorious postulating, no sort of final it has ended or any sort of epic words like that. No, a complete drivel of self-recrimination and stuff, which would be refreshing if we hadn't had the last whole of the book being about self-recriminations and how miserable everything is. And then bunkers off into the pole somewhere and hopefully never heard from again. So it's a story that went nowhere, did nothing, and just whinged a lot, to be honest. Now, the only reason I got through this dirge was I listened to it on Audible. Jamie Bell was the narrator. I thought he did a very good job of it, although his melancholy, solemn voice perhaps added a bit too much melancholy and wretchedness to the dialogue, or the monologue, or some sort of log anyway. But that's not his fault. He did a really good job of what he was supposed to be doing. But as I said at the beginning of the video, I was finding excuses to not listen to it, because I usually listen to it when I'm doing chores and we put it in the washing machine on, or the kettle, or the microwave, or anything, so I couldn't actually hear the story, so I wouldn't have to put it on. And that last section with the creature being self-recriminating and chasing and being chased, it just wouldn't stop. As long as I wanted to like it. The first Audible I listened to was Dracula by Bram Stoker, and I absolutely love that one. I thought it's aged really well. It's still very... It's still very emotional, it's still very atmospheric, the ideas in it are still relevant. I thought, excellent job, I really enjoyed that one. I then listened to Carmilla, which I thought was a kind of waste of space really, but thankfully short. That was its only saving grace. Another big one, Frankenstein. Let's do Frankenstein. And I must say, I'm really glad I started with Dracula, because if I had started with Frankenstein, I think I would have backed out of doing Dracula. Because Frankenstein, frankly, has aged appallingly. The men in Mary Shelley's life must have been exceptionally vacuous and dim, if that's her experience of what men are like. And her husband's additions that he put on for the prologue and the epilogue felt tacked on and unnecessary, to be honest. So there we go, that was Frankenstein and why I hated every second of it. I can see the comment section being an interesting one this time round. I'd love to know what you thought of it. If you loved it, what did you like about it? I'm really curious to know what you took away from it that I wasn't able to. Or if you didn't like it, did you not like it for the same reasons I didn't? So thoughts below please. As usual, if you can't be nice, then keep it to yourself. But until next time, see you later.